Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey has been seen in training for a potential return to the ring. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, what ring? She's fought in so many different kinds. She's fought in
Right.
the Olympics. She's fought in the UFC, WWE. You know, I don't know. It's just part of her life again. Just another chapter. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, this time it'll be WWE. I'm pretty sure Ronda has not gotten pregnant, and that she's back in the ring. One of the things I guess that's really tough for women athletes is, you know, if it can sideline your career. It could be something that you say, well, you know, I want to take a step away. I got to pick my family over my career. I mean, who would want to give birth and then just be like, all right, I'm on a flight.
I'm gonna go fight somebody now.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean, your pain receptors are probably down. You know, maybe.
Yeah.
It'd be a good time. I don't know.
DC preparing to release a Static Shock movie produced by Michael B. Jordan. How do y'all feel about that, first of all? How do you feel about a Static Shock movie, first of all, and then with Michael B. Jordan's involvement?
Finally. I haven't been for Static Shock anything at this point. Like, I used to watch that show as like a kid. I would wake up in the mornings excited to see Static Shock. And
WB.
Yeah, WB. Like it was like every Sunday I think it was on WB. They had the Adventures of Jackie Chan. They had Pokemon. Static Shock.
WB had the lineup.
Oh man, WB was a shit. But Static Shock is something that I think it can be like kind of like be DC's like Black Panther, you know, as far as that motivation went, especially since like they get like Static Shock kind of has that whole, it's not exactly like this, but kind of has that whole Miles Morales theme to it for me. I don't know what it is, you know, a kid, teenager, just becoming a superpower, you know, having superpowers and stuff like that. I don't know. Static Shock has always been an influential character to me, and I've been begging for years for them to do anything related to Static Shock.
Like you said, finally, Static Shock has come back.
We've actually talked about on the show a couple of times Milestone Comics, and you know they're going to come back, or they're not going to come back. Yes, they're going to come back. For a reminder for our audience who doesn't know, Milestone Comics was an imprint by DC Comics that Static Shock actually originally premiered in. Later on, got integrated into the main line, but it was characters like Static Shock, Icon and Rocket, the Blood Syndicate. You know, a lot of really sort of underground but really popular characters. And unfortunately, there had been a big lawsuit for several years between Dwayne McDuffie, who was the partial owner and head creator for Milestone Comics, Widow, and DC Comics, on who owned the rights, who owned how much of what. And so that's why there hasn't been any Static Shock or any of these other characters really portrayed in the last quite a few years. Static was, and so was Icon and Rocket on the show Young Justice. So if you haven't watched that, you can go get your Static Shock fix there. But having a live action movie, I think, is going to be something that's really, really needed, because those characters, the Milestone Comics characters, are such well written, just like characters that can be just as popular as anybody else that you name. They just haven't gotten their opportunities. And Static has gotten the biggest one because he had that show set in the DC animated universe. And you know, Dwayne McDuffie was a big person in the animated universe, as well as the creator of Static, so he got to work on the show and bring his vision to life. But I'm excited for it. I'm a little cautious though, just because a lot of the DC movies have been less than stellar. But I mean, we've also gotten the Joker, you know, movie recently, and that was obviously incredible. And of course, DC's TV line, whether it be their streaming stuff or whether it be, you know, Arrow and, you know, all that. But I'm talking like Stargirl, Titans, Swamp Thing, Doom Patrol, the Watchmen TV series, obviously. You know, all of these things have been such high quality that if they do it sort of like that, I think it could really be, like you said, it could be a movie that just blows everything out of the water and really fill a void of these young, because we don't really see young superheroes in movies that often. You know, like we had the Power Rangers movie, but I mean, really, all the superhero. I mean, Spider-Man. I guess that's about it.
Yeah, that's true. How do you feel about Michael B. Jordan's involvement? How do you feel about? Do you think that's gonna bring something positive just by his involvement? Do you think that a younger audience would gravitate towards him? And also, do you think that there is something between the Marvel and DC crossovers, like how Deadpool and Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds, and then you have now Michael B. Jordan from his involvement with Black Panther.
Oh, sorry, not Fantastic Four. That's where I thought you were going with that.
We don't talk about that one. We don't talk about those.
I think John Cena grabbed that one and took it somewhere.
Where'd it go?
He ran off with that
one. No, Michael B. Jordan. I love Michael B. Jordan as an actor. Right, the Creed movies, unfreaking believable. I love Chronicles. That's such a great movie. Michael B. Jordan is one of the best actors out right now. But from my understanding, he's not acting in it. He's producing it.
Yeah, he's producing it.
And I mean, I've never seen him as a producer, so I don't, or at least that I know of anyway. So I don't really have any benchmark to say whether that's going to be good or bad. He's a very talented guy, so I would imagine that would be helpful. But I don't know. I've never seen him as a producer before. They're saying that the guy that's probably going to be Static is, of course, because I'm on the spot, I can't think of his character name. the kid from Stranger Things.
Yeah, Caleb McLaughlin. Yeah, I think that would be dope, to have him in there as Static. I think that'd be really cool, actually. I could get behind that. And especially if they're kind of keeping him around that age range too, having him a little bit younger. I think it's cool. I'm down for it because I know he was like wasn't Static like late high school when he first got his powers, or
I think he was supposed to be 14. I think he was a freshman in high school in the comics. But of course, different interpretations and stuff. Yeah. The most recent Static comic that came out was at the beginning of the New 52, and he was supposed to be, I believe, in his senior year of high school in that one. But that was supposed to be he was Static for a while already.
So. See, that's really cool because I just remember being a kid and like, so what superhero is my age? I'm like, all right, when I grow up, I'm gonna be Batman. But I still got about 10 years to go. I got to train real hard now. But like everybody else is so much older and more well established versus like, I'm like, okay, well, what superheroes appeal to me and the things I go through, homework and things like that. And so Static Shock, it really Static Shock and Spider-Man are probably going to be like the biggest younger superheroes to get the young people's attention.
Hands down. What the vice president of the mechanical design department over at Sony posted a video a couple of days ago or it was like about a week ago of him doing a teardown, like just showing everybody, hey, this is what's inside the PS5, and it was really, really cool. Like I didn't think it was going to be really anything like too impressive. It's like, oh, cool, a fan, that's cool. No, but there was actually a lot of really interesting things. Like the stand.
What was the fan's name, though?
The fan's name.
right.
Yeah, it's Bill.
I like PlayStation.
They finally made the fan, speaking of fans, bigger, which is something that, I've personally been requesting for a while with the PlayStations because the PlayStations have always run ridiculously hot. Whenever I would run my PS4 Pro, it would be on for 5 minutes and that dude's already melting everything in my room for whatever freaking reason. They made it a 120 millimeter fan now, and it's pretty bulky too. And another cool thing with that fan is it's part of this vacuum chamber kind of thing. So what it'll do is it'll suck in the dust, and then there's a chamber where the dust will sit there, and you can literally just take your vacuum cleaner, put the hose to the hole, and just suck out the dust.
Bruh.
And I was just like, dude, just like the little things like
Are
that,
you serious?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely amazing. And then now going into more technical than that, the motherboard. When they showed the motherboard, I was really impressed on the layout. It looked kind of similar to how the PS4's motherboard looked. Obviously, it's shaped a little bit differently for housing purposes, but I thought it was going to have an M.2 NVMe SSD, like not necessarily built into the motherboard, but just packaged with it, like they do with regular hard drives. You know, like your PlayStation 4, you can just remove the hard drive out of it, put a new one in if you want to. So I thought they were going to do that with this. No, it's an onboard SSD. Like it's built into the motherboard. Like the hard drive is built into the motherboard. It's not like a whole separate connection thing. It's in the motherboard. And that shocks me because that means like Sony's been like kind of, they've been bragging about they've been bragging about their SSD for a while now. Like they're like, oh, our stuff's going to be the fastest, and I've been kind of skeptical because we haven't seen any numbers to really say that it is the fastest SSD in the market. But the fact that it's part of the motherboard now, like it's going to make this like this really is going to be the fastest one of the fastest SSDs because it's part of the entire system. And then
now, how is that going to fare for repair though?
For repair, that would be an issue. I do see that being a pretty expensive repair, because because the storage unit is part of the motherboard. So if you want to get something like that repaired, especially if like something happens with data corruption, you can't just replace the hard drive on that. You have to literally replace the motherboard to get it to a specialist. So it is going to make repairs a little bit more difficult with it. But alternatively, they do have an external slot built into the console for an actual M.2 SSD, which is like a little tiny SSD memory stick. It's about maybe like yay big. It's like maybe about like 4 inches long. Like it's very small. But there's a slot for it, and you can just slide that in, and you can power that, which I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know.
I just love all the images. Like you could stand it up, you could lay it down,
you can flip it on its side. You can.
There's a slot in the back. You can stick it right in.
Yeah, you can stick it right in there.
You are really going for it with this one.
I'm just really excited because, like, oh man, dude, like it's really cool seeing how Sony did this because I didn't think Sony was going to go a lot further than what they did with the PS4 Pro.
This has been another edition of the Bing Zang Zoom podcast. Make sure you go and like, subscribe, share, do all that. Matthew, what do you usually tell them?
Wear your seatbelt.
To press all the buttons.
To wear your seatbelt.
You're in state to safety. You're in state to safety.
I'm glad safety was on his mind, though.
He's looking up.
Don't drink and drive.
Right, you know. Press the button.
Stay hydrated.
Do the things. Say hi to your grandpa, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.
Peace.